Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video I'm going to have a quick look at two sort of websites. I guess we call them websites, discovery platforms. I don't quite know what the proper term is, but two basically sort of blockchain game data discovery platform websites have gone live this week. I think that's a coincidence. They've both gone live sort of on the same day. But I think it's sort of interesting to have a quick overview of what's going on. Now, we know with blockchain games there is sort of a lot of data sort of around anyway, because a lot, most of these games are running on a public blockchain, so the data is available. And obviously historically there's been things like RAINMAKER, which has a whole bunch of data about activity, and then more detailed stuff like June analytics, where people can sort of build their own queries, and a bunch of other, obviously loads of other ones as well. But there's been those sort of general ways in which to get data about apps or games or whatever DeFi stuff running on various blockchains. So we have two here. We have RAINMAKER Games, and also this is PlayCore. So what's interesting about these two is RAINMAKER Games and BREEDERDAO, which is the company behind PlayCore, are both sort of really have a part of their organizational structure is that they're sort of a guild. So obviously we've had a big explosion in the number of guilds, tens of thousands of guilds, mainly playing Axie Infinity and now looking for something else to do. And some of those guilds have also sort of built out these sort of data platforms as part of their sort of guild activity. But as there's no sort of other games you can play at the moment to make money, I think some of these are sort of pivoting around launching data platforms rather than being guilds. That's my view on it anyway. But both RAINMAKER and BREEDERDAO have raised quite decent sums of money, millions of dollars to build out these sort of platforms and to do sort of DAO guild activities. So the RAINMAKER Games, this is a sort of public beta, sort of a nice looking website, and basically you have all these games. It's not, I don't think it's particularly well laid out. I have a sort of problem with a lot of these sort of sites that I'll probably bang on about a lot in this video, which is I think they think game discovery means you have to show as many games as possible, whereas I think game discovery means you should show as few relevant games as possible. So they've tried to organise these. You can see here, this says highest earning. So these supposedly are the games that are highest earning. Obviously, that's a thing for blockchain games. We haven't seen before in sort of game discovery. We have these other ones a bit more sort of general. So the newest games, I'm not quite sure how they're working these things out. Highest rated, again, how they work these out. Most fun. I mean, that's really odd. how do you define the most fun? Free to play. I guess that's sort of hopeful that these things are free. Coming soon. That's sort of maybe. And then the whole big list. So what's sort of interesting, I guess, when I think about what people want in blockchain game, what people want in game discovery really is they want as little say relevant data as possible. So I think having looking at this website here and seeing like 10 or 15 games or whatever is just too much. People just like want us to click on all of them, But I think people basically want at most one, 2 or 3 sort of choices really. And I just don't think people sort of click through more than a couple of things, then it's scroll down. So let's have a quick look at here. So we can see here the sandbox. So we can get a bit of data on the sandbox. Some of it's useful, although the sandbox isn't live yet. So this is sort of interesting here. It says earnings per day. So I have no idea how they're working this out, because at the moment you can't earn any money in sandbox because the sandbox isn't live. So this is, they must be getting it from somewhere, but I can sort of guarantee that no one can earn money on the sandbox directly, at least. Now this upfront cost, again, no idea what that is. You could kind of think at the moment, for the sandbox, if you buy some sand, if you buy a sandbox land NFT, but that's about $5,500. I just checked. So these numbers, I don't know what they mean. But you can sort of see this is something that really is relevant for blockchain games. You can imagine some people. It being I would think for the majority of people, the primary thing is how can I make money owning this game? I mean, this is sort of what guilds are set up to do with their scholarship programs. So this is sort of interesting. If the numbers are wrong here, obviously what would be more interesting is sort of listing these by, return on investment, or how many days it would take to pay off the upfront cost. Obviously, in some games, most games, you have to buy NFTs up front and then you earning, and that goes up and down depending on. So it doesn't really matter what it is today. It's sort of more what it is over the last week. Some of this stuff's useful, the currency and what blockchains they're running on and whatever. But this is not. I think this is sort of too much data, too much irrelevant data. and I don't really care less about what the people's reviews are or what is going on Reddit. If I want to look at Reddit, I'll go to Reddit, I think. So that's a sort of a criticism. I think some of these things are a bit more useful, so I don't actually know anything about Crabada very much, so it tells me it's going to cost me $1,600 to buy the NFTs and I might make $50 a day. I have no idea if that's true or not, because I don't know anything about this sort of game, running on the Avalanche blockchain anyway. So that can be more simple, but I kind of think often, why isn't that data on here? Why doesn't it say the Sandbox return on investment 3%, Crabada return on investment 8.5%, or days to repay, 37 days, 29 days, or whatever. That would be sort of useful. So I think that, the data is useful, but most data isn't useful. The bits of the data that are useful are very useful, but most of the data is not. This one, most fun. What on earth does that mean? Where's the, what is this? Fun to play. I mean, who's coming up with this data? Ability to earn. I mean, it may be useful. They may be ranking everything against one another, but this seems unlikely that this game is is 5 is more fun than anything else. And actually, maybe this game is really good because it's you're earning, only costs $14 to get into it, and it costs you get 37 cents a day. So actually, that's quite maybe quicker to earn back than some of these other ones. I don't know. So I think there is interesting data here. It's not being shown in a very interesting way. Have a look at this one as well. This is a gambling game. So actually, this one is the most earnings and a little upfront cost. This one looks like brilliant. You might be making money in 4 days' time. On the Tron blockchain, is it really still? Gracious. But this is poker. So different sort of game. Affordability. Actually, affordability is quite good on this one. Anyway, let's not go into it. So I think there is something here. I think the data is if the data is bad, then basically no one's going to use this platform. If the numbers they're pulling in here are nonsense, then obviously people, it makes no sense at all. But you can sort of see why they've come up with what they have come up with. So the play call one is a little bit different. I think BREEDERDAO is a bit more focused on sort of data and that sort of stuff. One thing, I am really some odd games in here. So I've no idea what Nico is. I've never even heard of that game before. Star Sharks, not a very big game. Wonder Heroes unfortunately just got hammered, had a bridge hack. So this is sort of, again, even with these 10 games, it's sort of like, I know about blockchain games personally, but most people wouldn't have a clue about what does this mean? What is this data? This is sort of interesting, minters and burners, but what does it actually mean? I don't really know. What is this average realized sale price of what exactly? No idea. I guess this is NFTs, isn't it? I suppose. But NFTs are. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Other thing here, they're pulling out some token stuff. But a lot of these games have 2 tokens. So it actually has the AXX token, the AXS token. So Cyborg has another token as well, which is actually not live yet. But Theta Arena has 2 tokens as well. So I don't know. It's sort of a bit odd what they're doing here with this token stuff. You can sort of see what they mean. So there's a lot more data if we click in. So this is sort of odd. So this is sort of the. I can't click on this, but this is just sort of token data. But then if I click on here, I get these very much more detailed graphs. This is a bit like June Analytics, if you know June Analytics. So this is much, in a sense, is much more useful. But for most people, I wouldn't say for most people in a demeaning way. Even for me, this is, what conclusions am I supposed to draw from this? There's a lot of earners, not many spenders. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be learning from this. Does any of this data make me say I should be playing Axie Infinity? Does it? I have no idea. So it's sort of interesting to get all this data. I mean, this data is just being pulled off the open blockchain, so this is not difficult to do. You set it out once. Basically, it's what people do on June Analytics. But what's the call to action here? I mean, as you'll see, the price of all these token prices are going down on all of them. So maybe the call to action is don't play blockchain games if you want to make money. So this is sort of the problem I have with these sort of platforms that I think they get too focused on. There's so much data, we can show this cool data. Wouldn't that be brilliant? I mean, the fact is, people don't care about data. People care about actionable data. Effectively, people care about, here's a bit of data that says you'll make more money earning this game. Maybe you'll have more fun playing this game. Maybe that would be interesting, actionable data. But having a list of 100 games and this one's 3% better than this one, and this one's 0.5% better earning than that one. It's not very useful. You know, this sort of stuff is useful for a few people, for a few analysts. This is really useful, but that sort of data you should be charging people. Now they do actually say here there's going to be like a there's going to be a paid version, premium version. So we'll see. You know, maybe that'll be sort of more useful. But yeah, I just kind of think in most of these cases they're not thinking about what an audience wants. They're thinking about what they want to do and what they think the audience wants. And I think, you know, the problem with a lot of products is no one ever does any user testing. You know, what are actually people clicking on? Are people actually scrolling? What are people spending their time on? You know, and most of the stuff is superfluous. I think most of it is irrelevant, and you want to strip down most of this stuff. Really, and focus on the stuff that people really care about. Obviously, the interesting thing that you have with these sort of platforms compared to normal game discovery platforms is you have these sort of token things, which can sort of drive obviously speculation, but you can also do a few more interesting things with it, because effectively with tokens you are sort of monetizing the user in a way you can't do without blockchain games. And even with blockchain games, you can do referral links as well, which are sort of more powerful in blockchain than I think in normal gaming. So I think there is something there in sort of games discovery, but I think in general games discovery always ends up with too much data, too many games, and users just don't know how to use it. It just becomes like a blur of spam, which is why these sites generally don't work. I think with blockchain there is a big opportunity for people to do stuff around data sort of driven sort of discovery. Probably the more interesting thing is probably around recommendation, and again, I don't think any of these two platforms don't really use that. So actually, with Rainmaker, you can actually log in with your MetaMask, but it's not giving me any recommendations based on my NFTs. You know, that's the obvious thing for recommendation engines is you've already played this game. Maybe you go and play this game, and here's a discount, or you've already got some NFTs, and actually go to this game, and we'll give you give you $1 of tokens or something like that. I don't know, but you can think creatively how you might sort of drive that sort of stuff, because at the moment, discovery in the free-to-play mobile arena is driven by advertising, or at least it was until Apple broke it for everyone. So there is, game makers do spend money to get people into their game. So if you're giving the right people, if I've got over $1,000 of Axie Infinity NFTs in my wallet, then it's probably worth a developer giving me $10 free of their tokens to try and kickstart that, because I'm someone who's proven to spend money in games. So I think that's the way to do it, rather than this sort of data stuff. But we will see. I'm sure both BREEDERDAO and Rainmaker will sort of tweak what they're doing, and I'm sure these are only just potentially sort of early, I wouldn't say prototypes, but these are early products of things that have roadmaps around them. But I think still, with that in mind, you have to focus really on what your audience wants and not what your roadmap says, because you've thought up your roadmap, and if you haven't spoken to your audience, I think it's pretty clear that 99% of audience wants one thing, really, and that's a very simple. This is what I should be doing. This is what I should be playing. This is the cool stuff. Most people do not go, oh, what's that Nico game? I've never heard of that before. Let's go and check that out. I mean, I do that because I'm weird, but actually, I haven't really learned anything from. I don't even know what is this game. No, I mean, this hasn't helped me at all, really. Anyway, that's enough for this video. Thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we are always interested in what's going on with blockchain games. So please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.